All right, DD India's Jessica Taneja joins us on the broadcast for more. Hi, Jessica. The meeting lasted nearly 3 hours behind closed doors. What are we learning about the key issues discussed between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu? Concrete takeaways.
Even before the visit of Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, began, you heard from the officials and his team say that the negotiations would tend to focus on Iran's ballistic missile program. What about the Gaza peace plan, which was in the second phase? That requires a lot of discussion. And apart from that, of course, Israel wanting complete dismantling of Iran's nuclear program. Now, if you'd recall, before June, when the Americans had conducted Operation Midnight Hammer, that had nearly destroyed, as claimed by the Americans, 12 nuclear bases, which was again a point of contention because for Israel and from the International Atomic Energy Agency, the report suggested that Iran was enriching uranium up to 60%, which is close to weapons grade. And that was a massive concern. Now, from this meeting, what Benjamin Netanyahu was able to take away was the fact that President Donald Trump sticks to the negotiations. He says that both Jared Kushner and his West Asia envoy Steve Witkoff would visit and hold meetings with their Iranian counterparts, as they did last week in Oman. But those talks remain inconclusive. So there's a lot of grey area, so to say, and not a lot of understanding, which has now come down to the effect where there would be peace and stability in the region. Now, look at the other countries in the region, from Qatar, from United Arab Emirates, from Saudi Arabia, from Egypt. There have been concerns. And even if you talk about the Gaza peace plan, which was in the second phase, conditions haven't been met. Timelines are not according to what had been planned. Because at this moment, the Rafah border from Egypt hasn't been opened. On the other hand, aid to flow in, withdrawal of US troops, and of course, the disarmament of Hamas, again, another proxy group funded by the Iranian regime along with Hezbollah. Now, all of these concerns put together hasn't made it easy for the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who's continuously being pressed by his far-right government to meet those demands for the safety and security of Israel and the region. But with President Trump, the talks, as suggested, have not given the kind of favorable outcomes as Benjamin Netanyahu was expecting. Of course, joining the Board of Peace along with few other countries, which perhaps, by the way, none of the European countries have joined in. Just about 25 to 28 countries who've joined in for this particular Board of Peace, which will help in reconstruction of Gaza. So there's a lot that needs to be discussed, but the outcomes fairly seem to have suggested there will still continue negotiations with Iran. And as Donald Trump suggests, if those negotiations don't go on track as he wants, he might consider another strike on Iran. And as you know, there is already a USS Abraham Lincoln in West Asia. He's sending another carrier strike group, aircraft carrier strike group to West Asia. So that makes it more than 7 warships. So that is quite a lot of build-up in West Asia. And Iran, certainly according to analysts, a position slightly weaker in terms of negotiations and would have to arrive at a decision. But if you hear from the foreign minister of Iran, Abbas Araghchi, his latest statement seemed to have suggested that they would limit their nuclear program. The word is limit their nuclear program in return for some sanctions relief, which the United States government and the West and the Western world would consider. But given those negotiations continue on track, as we know, the last one in Oman were inconclusive. We'll have to wait and see as to how they progress later in the week when the meetings are held between the two.
All right, Jessica, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your input.